So I heard of the Tiny Chef show about a year or two ago because of my love of stop motion, and I immediately knew I would love it. It seemed right up my alley, but I put it on the back burner and got distracted with other stuff. So imagine my shock when this summer I was reintroduced to the little green chonky boy via a viral video about his show's cancellation and the way Nickelodeon broke the news to their former star. People who have never even seen the show before were outraged. Rightfully so.
Nickelodeon, you monster! How could you cancel Tiny Chef? You got him in his room singing Paint It Black.
And Nickelodeon, you can go to hell. Because why did I watch this animated Muppet have an emotional breakdown?
That one TikToker called him a puppet, and I was like, no, he's not. But then I looked on the wiki, and that's literally his species. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Fake fan, I guess. So clearly, this is the most relevant and recent example of people rallying behind a show, trying to prevent it from getting canceled. As always, my finger is right on the pulse of hot goss. Hi, I'm Athena P. Welcome to my silly little channel. But lovers, hope you're well. As always, despite the subject matter, my videos are not intended for kids. Let's scare away all the people who hate neurodivergency for a second. Oh no! Ooh, scary! Okay, now that we've gotten rid of them, let's talk about Tiny Chef, also known as Chefy. Either this tiny little cook doesn't want to share too much about himself, or this is actually his legal name, and it's a prophecy. Regardless, he's been cooking before he even got his show on Nickelodeon. Tiny Chef has been uploading to his YouTube channel since 2018, with his very first video being him shredding on the banjo. A very interesting first episode that has nothing to do with cooking besides his attire. Before this show even aired on Nick, Tiny Chef already won a Webby, and he was very happy about it. Realest acceptance speech I've ever seen. I'm already invested. No one's doing it like Tiny Chef. But where did he come from? Clearly whoever is making this stop motion had some experience given how smooth it is right at the start, especially with this environment and the tiny props. And yeah, some experience is kind of the understatement of the century. In a video by the YouTube channel Beyond the Process, Adam Reed credits Rachel Larson and Ozzy Okturk for conceiving Tiny Chef while working on Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs. Dude, I love that movie.
Good boy.
He talks about how he met Rachel Larson at a film festival while she was working on Coraline. So yeah, suffice it to say, this team was well aware of the work that went into stop motion and had the experience to show up to the YouTube scene with the most polished an indie project can possibly be. A lot of the passion came from making miniature versions of food, like these bottle cap pies and whatnot. Adam Reed immediately saw the vision as Rachel was sharing the tiny foods over on Facebook, and he was eager to join the team.
So we're friends on Facebook. Years later, I see her crafting pies this big. Game recognizes game.
I love this section about the team over on the Tiny Chef website. Rachel has dedicated her life to protecting Chef and helping him bring his tiny vision to the world. While neither seems to recall exactly when they met, they are two peas in a pod and are totally inseparable. Chef counts on Rachel to help him with his camera performance, drive him to voice lessons, and taste test his new dishes. We have the tiny voice coach, Stephen Michael Michaels. Stephen is the Tiny Chef's voice coach. The truth is, we hardly know this man. Since we cannot afford to pay Stephen for his voice lessons, we offered to promote his business here. We would have loved to wait a little longer to get to know Stephen, but the chef thinks he's just a gem. This is the voice actor for Tiny Chef. That's how they introduce him. His real name is also Matt Hutchinson, but he has a whole Instagram as Stephen Michael Michaels. And Stephen Michael Michaels is quite the character. Gardener, writer, motivational speaker, singer. What can't Stephen Michael Michaels do? All of this humor put into the About section alone just proves that the energy is electric. They put their whole hearts into this. And the reception really validated their work. They won a freaking Annie. They won an Emmy. It seemed like they were building up momentum, so imagine the shock and betrayal the Tiny Chef team and fans of the show felt when they were randomly canceled at the peak of their success. Sorry in advance for this segue. You know what's an even bigger betrayal? Data brokers making billions selling your personal information without your consent and destroying your privacy in the process. Thank goodness for this video's sponsor, Aura, for fighting back against these all too common violations. Aura takes care of the hard part, automatically removing your information from these sites and keeping it off. Similar services may offer this too, but none of them compare to just how many features you get with Aura for such a reasonable price. Name some of the features! Okay, I will! Real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, a secure VPN, antivirus, and password manager, as well as getting alerts if your information is on the dark web. Whoa, that's a lot of features! That's not even all of them! Hey, you got a code or something so I can try? Try Aura for free for 14 days using my link, aura.com/Athena. Thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring this video. Now back to Tiny Chef.
But I love Chef.
After casually slaying on the banjo as his debut, we have bottle cap apple pie. The very first time we see Tiny Chef navigating his way through this big world in this big kitchen with these big ingredients. Even using a seesaw to launch an apple onto this knife. Apple? Knife? Huh. Kind of reminds me of another YouTube channel turned TV show.
Knife? Huh?
The vibe could not be any more different from that, as I'm sure you already observed. No violence, just satisfying and calming moments, like him slicing smaller pieces of this non-alive apple. In fact, canonically, Tiny Chef is vegetarian. From cutting the pie crust off the edges of the bottle cap, to the filling and weaving of that lattice top, to that final result, I am in fact salivating. I want to eat this pie, but I know damn well it would take 100 for me to actually get full.
100?
Also, let's take a look at the chef's hands. You know what they remind me of? Have you ever seen a chameleon's tiny little grabbers? It's exactly like that. I've only had Tiny Chef for a day, but I'd do anything for him. In the next short, Chefy is under the weather, sneezing, wrapped up in a blanket, with tea and tissues next to him. And he goes from watching Harry Potter to binge-watching RuPaul's Drag Race. The character development we see in a mere 35 seconds. How much you want to bet while munching on popcorn, he just pulled up Twitter, sweetly looked up more about Harry Potter and thought, oh, no.
Then move to...
I hate this channel.
Switching to the gayest show ever. The YouTube comments were surprisingly normal for the most part. My faith in humanity was restored just a little bit before I opened up the cesspool that is Instagram. And people were claiming that they were unfollowing Tiny Chef after he posted something in support of Pride. Quick question, do you guys watch the show with your eyes and ears closed? Like, this little guy has been gay from the start.
I've been queer the whole time.
And it's not just the shorts. RuPaul narrates multiple episodes of the Nickelodeon show, including, oh look at that, the very first one.
Bruh.
You were never a fan of him. Don't you ever come for my son like that ever again. I will launch you back to the prohibition with a bottle of vodka wedged up your ass.
You what?
You absolute dehydrated hay bale bitch. I'm getting heated for nothing. He's so unbothered. Look at this self-love king. This is the first time we hear his little voice. And I actually have no idea what he said, but I support him regardless. In the frequently asked questions section of the website, we get confirmation that this is actually not a speech impediment, but his own language. Tiny Chef has a language all of his own. We have no idea what it's called or how to pronounce it, even though we've asked many, many times. There's another section of the website that says wait, and it pretty much says, how dare you? Where is it? Wait. The Tiny team believes it's wholly inappropriate to ask anyone their weight. Period. He also refuses to tell us how old he is. We love to see a titular bitchular protecting his peace. One thing Chefy is known for is singing while he works, and we see this for the first time in the short Another Pie Bites the Dust. He is packaging a pie, and the description goes on to explain that he's sending the pie to a fan. 5 shorts in, and they know this guy's mission, they know their reach, and they're as excited as he is. Next, he hangs up an I voted sticker as he sings Bad Romance, a politically aware king. Also, it goes to show that much like SpongeBob, who I talked about last week, people mistake Tiny Chef for a child when he's clearly an adult. We see that Tiny Chef is a fan of the Golden Girls. The media he consumes cannot get any gayer. How can anyone be genuinely surprised he's rolling with the LGBT? The top comment under this YouTube video makes me wheeze laugh. Tiny Chef getting canceled is not what Betty White died for. Justice for Tiny Chef. I'm sorry, what she died for? She died of old age, but I'm sure she wouldn't mind us using her legacy to try to get this show back on air. She was chill like that. In fact, I go way back with Betty White, the same way Tiny Chef does. She didn't die for my Great Wolf Lodge video to not be at 1 million views, to be honest. Do it for Betty, come on! In the short kitchen fail, we see Chefy in a much larger kitchen setting. Working in a space meant for humans isn't always the easiest, and I love how they convey this. Look at this big mess. Look at how defeated he is. You'll get him next time, Chef. We see him interact with Miss Penny the cat for the first time riding around in his Segway with little button wheels. I thought I couldn't be any more endeared, and look at me now. What a fool I was just moments ago. In fact, now we're really seeing the beginning of his journey, because in 2019, he found the tree stump that would be his home. I assumed that this set was once they got TV show budget, but no, the production has always been this good for this long. This new environment is nothing short of magical, and it's genuinely so heartwarming to see him carve out his own space in the world. Easier to navigate, a place made for him. It really is! Then in April of 2019, the Tiny Chef team had a mini-series called Tiny Talk, where Chef called his casually famous friends Jackie Tone and Kristen Bell.
This is Frank.
Hello, Mr. Frank.
Again, this was the connections the creators had before they were even on TV. We see Chef working with production designer Jason Kalowski, or as Chef says, Basham.
Hey, Jason.
I adore that this short was filmed like a documentary, with sit-down confessionals from Jason talking about what it was like working with Chef. And obviously it's an absolute delight, even though he is very passionate. He has to be involved in every step of the process. We see Chef cook in his very own kitchen for the first time in B'American Mai. Yup, bringing it back to the classic pie he's known for, and guess what? It's so much more seamless in a space that's made for him. But you know what I'm ready to see? I need to see somebody eat the food that Chef makes. We see the beautiful finished product, but no cross-section? I'm being blueberried. Blueberry pie. What if he makes that next? Before he cooks again, he catches up with his old friend Miss Penny the cat on FaceTime. And he even sings "You Are My Sunshine" to her. I'm not crying. I'm not. Ooh, you know what? I'm making a playlist of all the comfort watches I have on my channel. We have Nanaland, Koala Brothers, and now this right here, Tiny Chef. What an absolute delight. Tiny Chef was greenlit by Nickelodeon in 2020 and premiered in 2022. And this YouTube channel posted 98 videos before they even announced they were picked up by Nick. So let's talk about some more standouts. I was just amazed at how consistent they were right from the start. Super admirable, especially with stop motion. Like, dang! Couple of ways they didn't slow down. The most obvious right off the bat is short run times. A lot of these videos are less than a minute long because 1 minute of stop motion can take up to 2 weeks of work. Yeah, it is a labor of love. But they are also so smart about how much personality these videos have. Take Tiny Apron How To as an example. This is a DIY do-it-yourself video. No stop motion required. We just hear Tiny Chef's voiceover. We also have a mini-series called The Tiny Minute with Adam Reed, one of the writers and producers acting as a news anchor, talking about all things Tiny Chef.
My name's Adam. Chef calls me Madam, and this is the Tiny Minute.
We have another series, Chef-O-Vision, which is essentially a clip show with added fun facts about production throughout.
If you listen carefully, you can hear Bashal's New Zealand roommates who are pressured into audience participation.
Basil.
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 Back to stop motion, we have a video called What's in My Purse. Once again, a very endearing look into Tiny Chef's mind. I love how much he brings with him on the go. Relatable king. If I did a purse tour, it would be like, yup, a receipt from a year ago. A slingshot, yup, for sure. Oh, and this picture of me as SpongeBob, of course.
Rosemary.
A brilliant way they combine stop motion and live action is by having Chef attend the Manchester Academy for Cooking Show Hosts, which I so wanted to believe was a real institution.
One of our classes is called On Point, where the students learn to point to different ingredients.
Blueberries, raspberries, good job, chef. Spring onion, peppercorn, sugar, peppercorn, blueberry.
It's real in here. Not an ingredient. The mockumentary style, once again, works perfectly. Chef feels like a real part of the group. His friendships make me giggle. They make me so happy.
We just crack each other up, for real.
We're going. We got separated.
For laughing too much.
It was disruptive.
And it's really fun that they made this cooking show host arc lead up to a week and a half later announcing that they're gonna have a show on Nick. With the short episode after the announcement being Tiny Chef calling his cooking show host teacher, telling him the good news as he tears up.
But not a cooking show. They understood me.
He made it. You had faith in him, and so did I, and he made it. And you know what? It's sad knowing what we know now, but I'm glad that his art is out there regardless. Let's talk about the full Nickelodeon episodes.
On Nickelodeon!
The Tiny Chef Show aired for 3 seasons from 2022 to 2025 on Nickelodeon. 31 episodes in total, with each video being about 22 minutes long. Even though the sketches on YouTube were already really strong on their own, there's no denying a network budget helps tremendously. That 22-minute runtime is pretty much impossible for stop motion otherwise. I started with the very first episode where Chef makes pancakes and s'mores. Before the theme song, which was adorable, by the way. My heart grew 5 sizes. Are you kidding me? Follow your nose to the Tiny Chef Show. Before that, we see Chef getting ready for his first performance. Vocal exercises, powdering his face, spotting his pirouettes. You see how he keeps his head in place? That's called spotting, and it's so he doesn't get dizzy. He probably learned this from the Cooking Show Host Academy.
My personal favourite classes is called Head Turn.
This way, shoulders straight, and you turn with your shoulders and then your head.
We meet Ollie, Chef's new robot co-host. And at first I thought she appeared out of nowhere just for the TV show. But if there's one thing this team is gonna do, it's go above and beyond. Because even though Nick is acting like Ollie's been there from the start, the YouTube channel offers us an origin story. That origin story being, she was built just for the show. Oh goodness, what is she up to now? We'll cross that sad bridge when we get to it. But anyway, in the YouTube sketch, Jason and Sheffy are putting this robot together, and as usual, it was an absolute delight.
It's great. Every part of the job excites him. Chef, you want to check this out, buddy?
But it's a big... Wow!
We hear RuPaul's voice announcing Tiny Chef before Chef greets us. Ollie tells us that the dish of the day is pancakes, and we get some random dancing. Nickelodeon loves that shit. And so do I also! They dance and yell as music plays from the Spoon and Fork Band. Did you just see that? People thought he was straight? No, I don't. Anyway, a lot of what we've seen on the YouTube is used throughout the show, like a segment called What's in My Bag, I guess Nickelodeon didn't want the femininity of calling it a purse. But then, moments later, Chef is covered head to toe in glitter. So you can't dull his sparkle, mainstream media. This is some of the queer art that needs to be protected. One thing Chef needs help with is how to deal with conflict. Don't we all? Before Chef was able to flip his pancakes, he fell down and broke his lucky spatula. Luckily, he didn't overreact. Yeah, so they needed a moment to calm him down, so they cut to a section all about maple syrup. I could be wrong, but I believe this section was voiced by Adam Reed, who we're used to hearing from on the YouTube channel. And once again, we are back to Chef, but the situation didn't sort itself out. He wants to immediately throw in the towel. Ollie has to encourage him, but it still isn't enough. In the segment Dish with Chef, he talks with his old friend Kristen Bell, just like he did on the YouTube channel. As wonderful as this show is, it was really handed to Nickelodeon on a golden platter. I can't think of a stronger pitch for a show than a pretty much final product with an already dedicated fan base. Their entire YouTube channel is a front door pilot. I mean, not to spoil the outcome of this high stakes trial and tribulations, but you already know he flipped those damn pancakes. And he ate them, and it was awesome. They look delicious. This is not a show to watch on an empty stomach. He tells us to always believe in ourselves and that he loves us. And guess what? I love him too. He's such a sweet little guy. The next segment, all about making s'mores, opens with Chef in a cow onesie. Utterly adorable.
You need to leave.
We see him flip off all the lights in his house, getting ready for bed, but he gets more and more scared as he goes. Theme song. Cooking show starts. We see them chop up the chocolate and marshmallows. These scenes specifically really scratch an itch in my brain. It's so smooth. It's so lovely. As they wait for the s'mores in the oven, we get more sassy dancing. And you were somehow surprised. I gotta let it go. Ollie proposes they go camping, and Tiny Chef begins to hide from his friends because he doesn't want to admit he's afraid of the dark. In Dish with Chef, Tabitha Brown encourages Chef to talk about his fears with his friends. It's as sweet as ever. I wonder if Chef will always use this segment of the show for advice. Spoiler alert, yes he does. And he always opens his question that's clearly about his predicament with asking for a friend. Ollie is an absolutely fantastic addition to the cast. I love Henry and Ruby as well. They're snail and caterpillar pets. But Ollie is a real standout star. She's like a little sister figure to Chef. It's so wonderful to see them working together, and the way they write the character is perfect because in the season 2 episode, Dino Cake, we see that she has a life outside of being a co-host. Thank goodness. I was a bit worried given her origin story. Oh shit, this is robot propaganda, isn't it?
I may be a microwave, but what if I want to sing?
Can you do it later? I'm really hungry. Thank you. So in the episode Dino Cake, we have Nicole Byer narrating, and oh my gosh, we were just talking about her in the Camper Cringe about girl code and guy code. Maybe you should check out that video too. Anyway, back to Ollie. We hear that she's part of the Dino Club, and they're having a Dino Club meeting at the Stump. So they're baking a chocolate dinosaur cake.
I'm so excited about Dino Club!
When she goes off to get the name tags for the club meeting, Chef decides to surprise her, even though she already told him to relax and that she just wants a chill meeting. The spoon from the band also warns him, but Chefy brushes him off, determined to do the absolute most. God, he's just like me for real. The way they present information is so conversational and casual, you don't even realize you're learning. Here we are learning about what dinosaurs ate, and I had no idea this show was educational at all. People judge a book by its cover too much. They see a character with a silly voice and think, I don't want my kid to mimic this. But listen guys, not only is Ollie enunciating words as clearly as possible, but we also have a lot of sit-down talking moments like this.
Whoa! That pterodactyl came out of nowhere! As I was saying, dinosaurs lived a long, long time ago. But you can learn a lot about them from dinosaur bones.
I'm no childhood development expert or anything, but I feel like as long as you don't expose your kids to television way too young, and you don't give them too much screen time, you monitor what they watch and make sure it's a good mix of educational content, you'll be fine. At the end of the day, like I said in my Teletubbies video, parents just have to take an active role in what their kids watch instead of lashing out at the network. If you're a parent and you wouldn't want your kids watching Tiny Chef, I'm not one to judge, but don't make such a dang stink about it.
Why does he always have to be extra?
The second half of the episode is dedicated to dumplings. You'll have to see for yourself how Chef gets himself out of the whole dinosaur cake mess, because I have nothing more transformative to say about the resolution of that episode besides, aww. So moving swiftly to the dumpling storyline. Look at how cinematic the opening is. We see travel footage from the plane window to him walking around in the big world, learning how to knead the dumpling dough from experts. I genuinely adore how they are able to make him look so natural. Every frame is art. The execution is flawless and it deserves all the praise. I physically cannot praise it enough. No wonder it got 2 Annies and 2 Emmys. 2 awards for production, 1 award for directing, and 1 for just best preschool show. All absolutely deserved. I can acknowledge other people's victories without acting like a sourpuss because of this here dumpling episode. Chef, very defeated, looked at Ollie's perfect execution of folding a dumpling and said very sadly, "That took me 4 months. That took you 4 seconds." And what I love so much about this episode is they don't invalidate Chef's feelings. Professional chef and TV personality Ming Tsai talks to Chef during the phone call dish section, and he admits, if that happened to me, I'd be jealous too. But just because your friend is good at something doesn't mean you can't also be good at the same thing. Be good together. Celebrate your victories. Ah, I love it. Not me needing to hear that at the exact moment I watched the episode. Holy shit.
Come on, let's see the next episode.
That's it?
What?
The show was cancelled after that.
So let's talk about the viral video the Tiny Chef team made about their cancellation. This bad boy has over 15 million views and 2 million likes on TikTok. The video opens, and at the time, Tiny Chef had Not Like Us stuck in his head. He's just like us, but Nickelodeon, dare I say, they're not like us. Watch how disrespectful this phone call is. Tiny Chef is thrilled to talk with Nick. Think about all the good memories they have together. And it all comes crumbling down. He can't even hold the feather duster in his hand. He is so caught off guard, blindsided. He talks about all his great ideas for the future of the show. He thinks about his pet caterpillar's behavior on set, trying to see what he can fix and improve.
Blueberry had training, but she'll behave on set, I promise.
So he's at the bargaining stage of grief before the unheard Nickelodeon voice on the other side of the phone call confirms their decision is final. Tiny Chef's little lip quivers and tears well up in his eyes as he says, "But we won an Emmy." People really resonated with this. In this job market, not even winning an Emmy can save you. The most devastating part is him closing the phone call with, "I love you," and then trying to hold it together before breaking down. Look at how hard he tries, dusting himself off, trying to be strong. I remember seeing this with no prior context, and it really striking me. But it's honestly even more sad in context. This is exactly how he'd react. Now that I know this guy and have seen his journey, oh yeah, this is very true to his character. But it's also incredibly sad because it's clear he was mirroring how the crew felt in this moment. The caption of the TikTok even says, "Tiny Chef's cooking show has officially been canceled." In parentheses, very unexpected. And without support of a major network, we need crowdfunding to keep cooking over here. I signed up for the emailing list to stay up to date, and I was met with this adorable visual. And here's the support section of their website. Let's read a bit. "Dear Chefers, Tiny Chef and the team need your help now more than ever. We want to continue to film and share Chef's journey, but we can't do it without your support. Many of you have said that you would die for Tiny Chef. We don't need all that." They built up a bit of momentum. They're definitely keeping the social media presence up. But as Tiny Chef was still processing the news, we saw his whole grieving journey. We saw him bed-rotting for a bit. He was having a sad girl summer, rough to see but very real, surprisingly vulnerable. Just this month, Chef had a PBS interview. I feel like if any network understands what Tiny Chef is going through, it's PBS.
Chef, I know this is your first TV interview since your show was canceled. How are you doing?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Things were a little tough there for a while.
Another way the team is able to fund their show is through sponsors. And on the website, Chef has a very impressive sponsorship reel. Something that breaks my heart to see is the possibly severed bond they have with Nickelodeon, because the way they supported other shows on the network was adorable. Look at him in 2024 supporting SpongeBob. Look at us, we're twins. Look at his tiny self on the dance floor, tearing it up, no doubt. I also worry that they don't have rights to Ollie, as she has not been seen over on their social media, unless I'm mistaken. But I will say, I am pleasantly surprised with the freedom they have with Chefy. I think the only reason for this is that the channel was pre-established before any deal with Nick. I know other networks have an iron grip on the properties they own, so I'm glad whatever contract the team negotiated let them keep their rights. Once again, I'm no expert, but as a consumer of all sorts of content, I don't think that's very common. So the big question is, why? And from everything I've seen and from everything I've read, all signs point to that damn Paramount merger. These huge companies no longer think about how many shows they have, but instead how much money they could save with cuts. Stop motion is a time-consuming process, and it isn't cheap. So oftentimes, it's discarded no matter how successful it is. It's really unfair. These CEOs know nothing of art and whimsy. I'm just glad that despite all of this, the creatives keep creating, and Chef keeps dancing. This social media stardom reminded me of Nanalan. Shout out to Keith who sent this in my P.O. box. She's dabbing. Keith also sent that stunning fan art up there. I'm the luckiest girl in the whole wide world. Okay, what was I saying? Chef's viral moment reminded me of Nanalan. Whether it's a meme that's quotable,
Another model. Could she be any cuter?
Or a hero you want to fight for, these short clips can get people surprisingly invested and reinvigorate the love and support of a fan base. Let's unpack some other shows' promotion and see why it works and why it doesn't. For Nanalan, seeing Nana and Mona exist as characters outside of the show really built people's connections to them, seeing them on live streams and cameos so viewers can directly talk to them. This is probably a bit easier since they're puppets, but even still, it reminds me of Chef in how approachable they are and how real they feel. In fact, on the Tiny Chef website, they have a voicemail that you can call. Now, here's where these teams differ. I don't think the creators of Tiny Chef have any side projects. Again, maybe that's because how time-consuming stop motion is, or maybe I'm mistaken, but here's a side project of one of the co-creators of Nanalan, Adventures on Puppet Island.
If okay means surviving, then I have done everything in my capability to assure that.
What the hell is even that? And guys, this is for the love of the game. I am one of 40 likes. When you hear this is from the co-creator of Nanalan, you're like, what? And then you remember they also made Mr. Meaty. And it makes a lot more sense, given the absolutely rancid vibe. Talk about range. But you know what? Real recognizes real, and I have to support the art, even though it deeply unsettles me. Now I kind of just want to name drop other cartoons that I think deserve more hype. Long story short is incredible. I think the cartoon YouTuber space was eager to give them their flowers because it was highly anticipated as the creator premiere of BoJack Horseman's next show. And I'm glad it's getting the hype. It deserves it. I just wonder what their strategy for promotion would be if they didn't have that built-in following and credibility. Because these streaming services and networks do not promote their own shows anymore. They push the baby bird out of the nest and say, you're on your own. One example of this is Disney's To Go. I really enjoyed the episodes I've seen. I think their creator and social media team are very funny and creative.
So now we're going to show you how to draw Pliny in 360 degrees. And then you're going to want to put your head up a little bit smile.
We saw the team of Big City Green showing their support for the new show, but I just feel like what's even more important than slapstick humor is a clear call to action. People want to fight for Tiny Chef, but it's difficult to pinpoint how to replicate this. How do you get people to feel a connection to a character before they even watch the show? Or at the very least, generate enough hype for the pilot. You know who has an advantage in this oversaturated streaming market? Fucking Glitch. The fandom they've built is so admirable. They have lightning in a bottle, and I wish I had the blueprint. I mean, to be fair, and this isn't to discredit them, but the market for teen animated shows is way less saturated than kids shows. Creativity and heart matter the most, but we have to get creative about how we get people's foot through the door. I wish I knew what the takeaway was. What do you all think? What even is marketing nowadays? I absolutely love Tiny Chef. I wish I started watching him before the viral crying moment. Why is that what inspires action? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to take this. Hello? What do you mean you won't watch the Great Wolf Lodge video? But it's not a vlog. Well, if you just... No, okay, I understand that I went to every Great Wolf Lodge. I explored the lore of the animatronics and the mascots. And I talked about a really funny lawsuit that was really stupid. I don't understand why you won't watch. It's so good!